owner of the AWF, host of Call All-Stars, Cost Superstar, 13-time Tag Team Champion and Pride Champion. This Scorpion is ready to shoot the shit as Shawn Walsh presents the SWS.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 50 of the SWS. Maybe to some, this is only episode 2, so you don't know what I'm talking about because you've been too busy focusing on yourself for the last 3 years. But to everyone else who's been along on the journey, we've made it. 50 episodes. I can't believe we got this far, and we're just getting started. Got so much planned for you guys. Today's episode 50, Ben Hopkins back on the show. Me and him, our characters have had exchanges back and forth, and we get into that. He's a good guy, though. Maybe he's in the circle. I don't know. You'd have to ask other people. I'm not sure who's in that circle. But this episode that you're about to hear with Ben Hopkins was recorded on the day of NXT TakeOver War Games. So when you're scratching your head wondering why we're not mentioning other things that have taken place since then, that is why. So I wanted to address that. So that's all cleared up. So we do not talk about the recent stuff with JC Wolfe, as it didn't happen at the time of the recording. Speaking of, I guess I should break the news, although maybe you already know the news. And JC Wolfe, as he said, he's been realized from the AWF. Those that are familiar with the AWF know that JC Wolfe is a character on AWF programming, specifically the Uprising brand. Well, when CyberSlam goes up, you'll see there's a storyline that is done that will explain his absence. But since JC Wolfe decided to ignore my request, my respectful request, to just keep things quiet until after the show went up, and go on other servers and go and say he's been realized, because he can't spell released, I guess I should just go and put it all out there. Yes, he has been released from the AWF. It all makes sense after the show goes up. So, yeah, it is what it is. What else can we get into before the show? Oh, yeah, Conspiracy, that's coming up. So, as you know, Call All-Stars has a pretty big part of that. Call All-Stars and other organizations are involved. Some cool matches that I think you guys are going to enjoy seeing, such as The Great D versus Mikey Truth. We're going to have Sho Minamoto, probably mispronounced that, versus Travis Touchdown for the FCWL International Championship. Zane LaFontaine versus Adam Jackpot hardcore match that was recently announced. We have Ben Hopkins going one-on-one with Walter Scott. We're going to have the Galaxia Tournament Finals. We're going to have New Dawn Pro is actually about to post the first round of the Galaxia Tournament, so stay tuned for that. I mentioned Mikey Truth, Supreme Press, Call All-Stars, and SPW2K, they're coming together. That'll be out, so look out for that. Brandon Wolfe is defending the Call All-Stars Championship, and the Call All-Stars Tag Team Championships are defended on that show. But back to Conspiracy, of course, we got Elizabeth Preza defending the Call All-Stars Women's Championship against former Women's Champion Amber Stevens. We have the DWF, they're back. The DWF Championships on the line. TGO versus Keller. The DWF Women's Championships on the line. Bobby Mitchell versus Alex James. And, of course, Brandon Wolfe defending the Call All-Stars Championship against Mason Kronik in one of Call All-Stars' main events for Conspiracy all together. But I've talked enough. So let's go send it to me, welcoming you guys again to the Shawn Walsh Show. But this time, Ben will be there as well. So, Shawn, bring it in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the SWS Shawn Walsh Show. Of course, you know the host, Shawn Walsh here. And today, I am being joined by a man who's been on the show before. Now, the last time he was on, it was a bit more dramatic. Maybe we won't go down that same path. I don't know. Maybe this will be another interrogation. We'll have to see. But I am joined by the leader of his own brand, Mr. Ben Hopkins.
Yes, you are. I really hope I don't get interrogated today. I'm far too tired.
Yeah, I don't think I will. But, if something comes up, I'll... You know firsthand, not afraid to grill. So
I will try not to trigger you.
Right. And a lot of time has passed, and the last time you were on, you had just recently joined COH, and people were starting to become aware of who you were on another side of call. So, and a lot has changed to where you're at a point now where I would say a lot of people are fans of you. So that's nice. Now,
It is.
one thing that has also changed is back then you were Ben Hopkins. Today, you're Ben Hopkins, the Ben Hopkins, the Ben Hopkins brand. How many names are you going to have?
Well, if people want to, I don't know. The name keeps evolving. I feel like I said last time, or I've said it to people, is that any show I join, I like to put at least a tiny bit of a different spin on the gimmick. Keeps things fresh. It keeps things different for me, so I'm not doing the same exact thing over and over again. And I feel like half the times it requires the slight name change. That's what people pitch to me. So if I keep getting asked for my name to be slightly changed, who knows? I might end up with a different name in every league by the time I'm done.
Right. Hey, I think this is a perfect question to start things off. We've seen the Twitter account. We've seen what they said. Ben Hopkins Jr., is that your bastard son?
That is not my bastard son. I can confirm I do not have a son.
Damn, that's disappointing. Could have been a nice second-generation Call superstar.
Well, no. I'm a second generation, if you believe that Zack Sabre Jr. is my dad.
Well, obviously, so he would be a third generation.
There we go. But not yet, at least.
Zack Sabre Jr., father, and then brother Will Ospreay. It's an interesting family. So, last time you were on, we were kind of getting into the beginnings of AFN. You were in COH. I don't think you'd shown up in AWF yet.
I don't believe so. I believe I was weeks away from debuting at the time.
Right. But it all ties in, because that's how it all started. Now, we don't need to go through a whole crash course of, how did you join COH? Because you can go watch the last one for that. But, now you go through the whole AFN run. You guys won the tag team titles in COH. You did AFN and AWF. Now, overall, what did you think of AFN, the whole run, the pros and cons of it? What did you think?
I think from the outside, people see it as a mixed bag. Mainly because I know a lot of people were reasonably, and for good reason, unhappy that Austin wasn't cutting any promos. I said on the last one, and I'll say it again, it didn't bother me. My goal at the end of the day, I knew that the tag team wasn't going to last for ages. The fact that we lasted as long as we did was quite a surprise. I thought we'd split up the second we lost the titles. But my goal at the end of the day was, in the end, to get myself over. And because no one's going to remember a tag team like this time next year, people aren't going to remember AFN. So it's more of a case of, if I'm getting all the promo time, that's fine by me. It gives me a great basis to build a character on, which I think has paid dividends in the 2 years since I was last on the show. So I see the whole run as a success. introduced me to audiences, and at the end, it allowed me to go on to better things, which is what you want from a tag team.
Right. I don't know if other people picked up on this. I certainly did. But you mentioned how you were just trying to get yourself over. So much
Yeah.
so, even the pronouns when you would be talking about tag teams, like, oh, when I do this, I do. Like, there was never a we. Like
Yeah,
maybe in the beginning, but that was it.
there was a switch, I think, after we won the titles, and I think the first feud we had was with like Wild KO, and I find it difficult to kind of speak for someone when they're not there because of how I do my promos. So because there was no one there, I'd instantly just go to like, I'll do this, I'll win, and most of the time that was true. So I just kept rolling with it, and it works into what the gimmick is now because you can see it forming back then.
Right. Would you agree with the statement that during AFN's run, I mean, you can throw AWF in it as well, but in COH, because, I'll just pick on Travis. I'm great. And would you agree that the tag team division at the time could have been stronger?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at the feuds I had with AFN, with Wild KO, and Snap and Tapping. Excuse me, not to take away from GMR, I like him.
Oh yeah.
But you just look at the like sheer talent I had to deal with. It's really hard to build a feud when you're opposite monotone Adam Oliver, and Wild Wild's best promo is that one you edited to Mr. Perfect's music. So it's like I actually remember I remember watching. I think they both recorded promos and put them on the COH group, and I remember watching them both and thinking, "Fuck me, how can I build anything with this?" Because you're very much your generic babyface. I'm gonna try my best. I hope I don't lose promos, and I was like, there's no heat in this feud, and it felt like that for everything because that was the tag team division on Slam for such a long time. I know we dropped the belts to the Nightmares in the end, but we didn't really have a feud with them. I feel like we interacted twice maybe, and that was it, and then we dropped the belts to them. But there was just nothing to work with. It's a lot better now that there's a lot more more people with fleshed out gimmicks and that. But we could have done with like an East Coast connection on No Resource Mafia back in the day, definitely.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you said that. And the reason I brought up the quality of the tag division, believe it or not, was not to shit on it, but was to bring the follow up of, do you think the tag team division has grown since then? And I would assume that would be yes.
Oh, so much so. And very much, I feel like from us losing the belts up until the start of this new season, like I can't recall major things in the tag team division. I know there was a tournament, and I guess that takes up much of the time. Like fucking Levi won a belt, but yeah, now that there's a lot more teams with fleshed out gimmicks and characters, I feel like it's good. I feel like it's great that the East Coast connection are there because they're both really strong characters that a division can be built around. I hope they win the title soon. Not to take away from Jeffrey because he has like rapidly improved, but I don't like the rep. As soon as you start chopping, changing, joining members, getting rid of members within weeks, you instantly lose my interest because I don't care for who's in the stable because you just show they're easily replaceable. So if you put the belts on ECC, I feel like they're the best to build a division around.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. When all that went down, AFN and everything, now you would later make the transformation of your character in COH, but you made the transformation a little bit sooner in AWF for AFN, and then you guys split up, and one thing that was different was your cause look. The AFN look had face paint, a lot of bright colors, and bright, and then the black too. So Hot Topic style, but then it changed to the Ben Hopkins Brand, some with like the big jacket or like the glasses and their tights and everything. What came to mind in the change when you went to doing single stuff in the attire change to get the identity and to get away from the AFN?
I knew that the main things that I looked at least initially, was I looked at the AFN attire I had, and I thought, how can I distance the character now from what it was then? So the main two changes that there were, really at the end of the day, was I got rid of the face paint and I got rid of wrestling in the shirt. Main reasons for those was that Austin's core, I agree, in a sense, is a very hot topic, and it worked for his gimmick, and it works for his gimmick in other places he's still in. My idea was to make my one sort of similar in a mold to that, so that we at least look like a tag team while still looking somewhat separate. The goal was to make it as different as possible. It was, I believe, the first one that I done. I sort of looked through on the attire options just to see what I liked the most, pretty much, which is how the first one came about. From like 2K18 and 2K19, I sort of go through the attire options just to see what sort of fits the gimmick. I feel like these ones are a lot more colourful. I've gone from just using red and black to red, black and white, and then orange instead of red for the Ben Hopkins brand, because I like to mix it up sometimes. So it's just a case of trying to look nice instead of like looking like I'm a 12-year-old edgelord now, which my original core did. When I look back at that and I'm like, fuck me, that was a bad choice. But it's just a case of seeing what works with the gimmick now, what I could see the Ben Hopkins or the Ben Hopkins brand wearing, because he is a bit of a tool.
A little bit. Now, we talk about the change in appearance and everything, and we'll go into some of the creative. We'll start with where I think creatively people saw the difference, mostly because it happened first, and because it happened in my show. With the feud with Brandon Wolfe. So you probably maybe know a little bit more than I do, because I forget things. So how did the workings of the Brandon Wolfe feud come to be in AWF? Tell all the juicy details that I don't remember.
So it's a good thing that I don't have a life, because I can remember quite a lot of this. So I remember you initially, after the match with the Blood Brothers that AFN lost to split up, I remember you telling me the idea that you wanted me to face Brandon at Glory Days 4. So it was just a case of working how to get there. You had me attack him and then explain why. The main thing is post Glory Days, where I feel still to this day, I still feel is my best feud and some of my best work. So I know you were like, you wanted me to come out and complain so that I could get a rematch from Brandon, being the valiant babyface he is. So I was like, I can say that he cheated, because as a delusional heel would, they can't accept that they lost clean. I didn't lose clean. For anyone that's seeking some kind of admittance, I was cheated, and it sort of ran from there. I remember it was one of the few promos that I actually took serious notes down for, because it took me a few days. I had a few days before I could record it. So I was like, how do I get a match out of Brandon? I was like, I know, I don't know how the idea came about. I just remember being like, well, what if I sing in protest? And like, it's a terrible idea, because I was like, I can't sing. I was like, no, that's a good idea. No one's going to want to hear me sing. And lo and behold, it turned out to work out really well. I know that a lot of people enjoyed a lot of the stuff I put on the AWF Facebook group as well. Just stupid shit saying, look at Brandon celebrating with his 3 fans after he cheated. And just linking videos like that. And I was like, this is the type of stuff that a delusional heel who feels that they're vindicated would do. I know. I believe it was RPJ that said that it was close to the fact that it was. You could tell it was a heel work, but it's also quite funny to the fact that you could justify a me and Brandon double turn, because there were people that started to believe that Brandon Wolfe cheated, and I was like, no, guys, boo me. It's like, come on now, like you can watch the video. There's no clear cheating in there, but the fact that people bought into that, I was quite happy with, because that was, at least to me, that was my first solo feud after AFM. So I was like, I kind of need to make a good impression with this to get people to buy into the new character. So I was really happy at the end of the day with how that whole feud came out, because I feel like it helped elevate a lot more of my work. There's still people in other leagues, when they watch it, that will that use that as their starting point for the character, which is a good sign, because it's probably one of my best feuds and will be one of my best feuds going forward.
Oh yeah, and a big sign that it worked, and it's a huge credit to you, is I know people, and look, I'm not going to be that person that names them and embarrasses them, but there are people who I know don't watch my show, and shame on them, they should, but they, stuff that you would say, the whole thing of Brandon cheating, you and Brandon having this feud, it became this thing where it was bigger than the show it was in. It would be mentioned elsewhere. Other people knew about it, so it really made things not for you, and I think it helped him as well.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And then cool things. Because obviously you guys had the match for the title at Glory Days where you lost, or you got cheated, however you want to look at it.
Cheated, definitely cheated.
And then I was like, because initially I was like, all right, we'll hold off, and I was thinking to myself, like, I'll hold off to the rematch to Carnage. I'm like, oh no, here's an idea. We'll put in the main event of a Superstar Mayhem, and which would be the first. I think I've only put like the heavyweight guys on last. So there, you guys got that. And in general, I just like, when you think, because there's a couple of shows that have your junior divisions, light heavyweight, cruiser, whatever you want to call it. I look at, when you think of the big guys that have been junior champions in other people's shows, some of the names you think of: Travis Sparks, Brandon Wolfe, Ben Hopkins. That was literally right through and through junior heavyweight championship title history right there. So
yeah, and the thing I like most is that the last shot of AWF in 2K17 is me winning the junior heavyweight title, which is just a nice little pointless stat that I can enjoy, that I was the last shot on that game for the AWF.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it and be like, well, that was it, and we move forward to the next game. Or we were like, fuck this game, we're moving to the next one.
It's like, can't be, this is awful. Or maybe it was just like, we can't top anything on this game now. We're gonna have to move on. We've peaked.
Oh yeah. So we go from there in that, because Brandon, and those who watch know, Brandon has gone on to feud with Zane LaFontaine and Murderers Row. And the interesting thing was, when I was talking to Stu initially, I know, breaking the fourth wall here, and this is before he headbutt me. And,
that's good.
And we were like, what could we do? Who could we put in here? And we were talking about people, and we were thinking, okay, it was between Nitro and yourself. Initially, I was like, yeah, we could go with Ben, and I had actually messaged you about it.
Yeah.
And it was late, but I like, this was going on. But like 15 minutes later, I was like, wait a minute, no. I think there's more benefit for Nitro, and you'd be more beneficial to be on your own. So I was like, oh, no, ignore that. For 10, I said nothing. And I told Stu, and we went with Nitro. But it was perfect, because when the whole thing happened, easy scapegoat. Oh, well, Ben's behind this. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't like Brandon. This makes a lot of sense. I mean, I even said that I thought it was you.
Yeah, I did like that story because the fact I knew it wasn't me as well. It was like, come on, guys. Now I hate Brandon, but I feel like at the time, because it was so technically calendar wise close to me splitting up from AFN, it gave me the great idea. Did you see the last time I worked with someone? Come on, guys, come on now, guys. It's not me. These words hurt. I remember like after like it was come out that it was Murderers Row. I really did like that promo we done where I came out and I was like, Shawn, you owe me an apology. Because it was the I feel like if I was face at the time, it was one of those things where you just forget and move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did enjoy the fact I could come out and just be like, right now, where's my apology? I want it. It put me over as a complete and utter tool, which is all in part of the character, which works really well because it's given like the whole gimmick has given me so much ground to work with that it is definitely one of my favorite pieces of work, that entire feud. And now Brandon gets to move on to deal with them. I get to work with Matt Black and Aether, who are two of the people I've wanted to work with for a good while. So it all worked out well in the end.
Yeah, and one thing, because we talked about like the promo we did, it. I guess if you can call it that, but me and you, like, and again, for people who don't watch, you should, but Shawn Walsh in the AWF, although has competed a few times, usually wears a suit and is the boss. So it's not like the Scorpions out there and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and beat you up. Like it isn't like that. And we've had our whole thing where it's like we've kind of had like a mini rivalry to the point where I'd even myself, like I was thinking like, man, should I build towards a match here? Like, because it was getting people talking and everything, but due to other things, I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm not. We won't do a match.
Yeah, I feel that like in hindsight, that's probably the best thing. Just because, as you said, the Shawn Walsh in the AWF is different to the Shawn Walsh you'll see in other places.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I feel like it was kind of difficult to justify that. Plus, as like you are kind of one of the top faces in core, as much as it pains me to say that. You like I don't feel like your character would be like, oh yeah, I own this show, but Ben's a little bit out of line. Perhaps I should go and wrestle him. I feel like that would be slightly out of character of you.
It would be because
Yeah.
like the AWF owner character, like I've been a heel owner years prior, but my whole thing is now since I'm back in control as of like the last like year and a half is like, all right, I've seen what I did wrong. I'm not going to mess up now. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to hold grudges. And that would just make me look like a massive hypocrite if I'm just like, oh, yeah, let's just go fight. So now it makes me look stupid when I got Zayn beating me up and I don't fight him. But I mean, I got to let things go. You got to be a good boss.
It's the principle of the matter. Even if you get headbutted, you're not going to rise to it.
Right. So now it's on for you with Aether and Matt Black, two guys. I talked about like you, Brandon, and Travis being like that nice wave of lightweight competitors, and we've seen in AWF both Travis and Brandon when they lost the title go and challenge for other titles. I don't like to call it move up because the junior heavyweight title could main event, so it's not really moving up. And so now I look at Aether and Matt Black being two guys who are also, along with you, two of the best lightweight competitors that are making waves around the world. So that's cool. And one announcement that came out of the Superstar Mayhem 50, which me and you talked about previously, and I'm intrigued on your thoughts, is when Scott was like, oh yeah, we're going to do a best of the Super Juniors. So being junior heavyweight champion, probably concerns you a little bit. What
Yeah.
what do you think about AWF doing the Best of Super Juniors? Because as far as I know, I haven't seen it really elsewhere.
Is this the bit where I Chris Jericho it and I say that I invented the idea?
Oh yeah, it's your money in the bank.
This is my money in the bank. It was something that for those not in the know, and by not in the know I mean everyone that isn't me and Shawn. I pitched this idea. I feel just after I won the junior heavyweight title ages ago. To do a Best of Super Juniors, because if you look at the light heavyweight talent that is on the AWF roster, and around the core world, I was like, holy shit, we could actually do something here. I believe I said it last time I was on the show as well, that whatever division I'm part of, I want to elevate and I want to make it as good and as big as possible. Junior heavyweight titles main evented as Superstar Mayhem. It was arguably one of the major talking points of the AWF during mine and Brandon's feud. And so the next step and the next evolution of that was to hold at least in my eyes, was to hold an exclusive tournament for the best junior heavyweights in the world. Because not only does it elevate the title, elevate the division, it also shows everyone possible. The great thing, at least that I like about the Best of the Super Juniors, is that it gives you a constant time where you can see all these competitors, and it really helps elevate a lot of people. I'm going to throw out an example. If I just use, say, in terms of elevating people, just what I like to do now, because especially in ECW, where I'm kind of like on NXT scene as like a big import name talent, was Alex James. It's one of my favourite matches because I poked him in the eye a lot, and that still got people talking. And I know that Alex probably would have made it like to the level of recognition he is now, but I feel like that match, to put me over, helped him a lot because people are still talking about it, and he's still talking about it, and I'm still talking about it. So it's stuff like that, and with a tournament, you can get people over for their ring stuff so that people want to see them, and then you can work on the character. So it gives such a good elevation for the future of the junior heavyweight division that we can have so many people be showcased at any one time.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, the credit, you deserve the credit. You suggested the idea, and I was like, okay, maybe it's something. I think I gave you like a maybe or something. That's usually what I give people.
Yeah. You're like, it's a good idea. I'll think about it.
And fortunately for you, I was really at the time getting into watching more New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I was like, whether it be with the G1, the Best of Super Juniors, and I know like this year I've watched more New Japan than I've watched ever, and I'm watching, I'm like, this is great stuff, because the whole reason I got the whole Junior Heavyweight Championship from New Japan, and so I'm like, and I looked at it, I'm like, this is great, and I love the Best of Super Juniors this year, so I was like, this is going to be perfect. Yeah, I can't wait for it. And now it's out there, because I couldn't tell people for a while. So now it's out there. I'm excited. There are some big things to come, people, so stay tuned for that. Some big stuff for the junior heavyweight division that I'm really excited about. Ben knows at least some of it.
Yeah.
So have to see with that. And not just in an AWF, of course. Your character has gone a ton of different places. You're over in DZW, where you were searching for tag team partner. I got Mason Kronik in
Best friend.
Yeah, best friends, bitter enemies times 100. Does not knock on AJ. Everyone does it, and. I mean, geez, let's get into that, all right? So, we talk about these places. You got CCWO. You guys were friends, turn enemies. You got ECW. You guys, enemies, hate each other. DZW, friends. I'm starting to wonder where that's going to end up. And And now, and even in CCL, in the doctor's order, friends, wonder where that will go. What is with this dynamic with you and Kronik?
I can't tell you the legitimate amount of times that one of us has turned on each other and like we'll message each other and just be like, one of these days we might just be able just to get along, just to team, and it'll be fine. I don't know. I feel like it's because there's this insane level of chemistry and fun to mass appeal, whether it be as a tag team or a feud. I feel like a lot of people see the interactions between me and Kronik if it's on Core Shoot, or if it's just randomly where he'll tweet at me or tag me in a post where he's yelling at me and we go back and forth. It creates, for me as well, it creates a really fun dynamic, because here, especially in ECW, I love the idea of the cowardly smaller heel and the big face where the heel just runs away and hides. I feel like I really do enjoy our feud where like I've attacked Kronik twice and I'm like, well, I've got you back. There's no need for this anymore. We can move on. But I don't know. I feel like the characters themselves, there's a great dynamic between them, but they can't work together for so long because there is too many combustible elements.
Oh yeah.
I know that me and Kronik took the nickname of calling ourselves the Golden Lovers of Core because we are that good. But at the end of the day, every time we get in a ring, we try and kill each other, which isn't good because like he's like double my height and weight. So realistically, he'd probably murder me.
Right, but he is a former CCW light heavyweight champion. You could argue it's in the same bounds.
Well, I mean, he did have to, he did get stripped of the title quite soon after, but, technically, on the technicality, he is also. Maybe we'll see him in his best of the Super Juniors.
I don't know about that, but last time he showed up on Superstar Mayhem, he did a bad. He started throwing things and everything. We can't do that.
But he threw it at Moon, so that was fine.
You mentioned your feud with Kronik in ECW, and again, for people who haven't watched ECW or I keep hearing about ECW, well, you should go hear what people are talking about. We got to talk about how this feud began, because I think it's hilarious, right? If I get something wrong here, I miss something, you let me know. But you came in, big build up. Oh, Ben Hopkins coming into ECW. You make your debut as a babyface. Everyone's like, look, Ben's here. Ben gets the win. Mason Kronik, he's here. Oh shit, here comes Kronik. Beats you up. You guys are fighting. Kronik's throwing around security, beating them up backstage. You think, okay, Kronik's going to be this big, nasty heel. That's right up Kronik's alley. But then, swerve, you're the heel. And you're like, all of you cheered when Kronik beat me up. I hate all of you. Is that right?
That's spot on, pretty much. Yeah, the idea which... I love the debut match I had with Asher Crane, because I should not. I was a heel during that match. I should not have been cheered. That was the debut of the eye poke, which, if you listen to the commentary between that and I think Alex James was actually, I might be missing a match. I probably am. But I feel like the match of Alex James was my second match. And if you listen to the difference between the commentary between that match and the one with Asher Crane, that Matt Ryan did a really good job of completely turning on me. It'd be like, look at Ben, he's having fun, gouging someone's eyes out. That sick freak. What is he doing? It is great. I know the idea was always for me to be a heel, and I feel like it's testament to the character that it worked as well as it did, that everyone started cheering Kronik the second that we shook hands and then he beat me up, which is not a face thing to do.
No.
The fact that the character, there's a universal hatred for it deep down in everyone, really helped work for that. And the next NXT I was on, I was like, so I'm going to give you some microphone time. just vent about how you hate the fans, and I was like, oh yes, this is what I'm born to do, is rag on people.
Yeah, I call it you came in as a babyface, and the reason I say that is because Chris Jericho talked about it after All In, like obviously like when he attacked Kenny Omega, obviously heel thing, but he was like, oh, I mean, anytime that you make a surprise appearance or your big debut or return or whatever, you're a babyface that night. So
Yeah,
that's all that was. It was like big debut for Ben, so crowd's cheering, and then the next show we go back to normal. So yeah, and since we're talking about it, what obviously just scratching the surface so far with Kronik, and then little bits of seeds planted here and there for Alex James, and then the weird like ECW's NXT is really good at all right, like the heels. Like, kind of like everyone hates them, but they're kind of okay with each other. Like, Matt Black, and Bobby's okay, but he's kind of like the ugly stepsister. And the baby faces are alright, but they all kind of, they can't get along, because good guys can't get along. And what have you thought overall of being in ECW and how things have gone and working with some of the guys that we haven't seen elsewhere?
I really enjoyed it. My main idea to come to ECW was to work with people that I hadn't got a chance to work with before, which was part of the reason why I said I wanted to go to NXT, was because there was people like Matt Black, there was Walter Scott, all of these people that I hadn't had a chance to really fully watch or fully feud with or anything of the sort beforehand. It gave me the opportunity to work with them. Like, I hate the fact that War Games isn't in 2K19, because I feel like me, Matt, and Bobby versus Eric, Kronik, and Walter would be one hell of a War Games match. Like, just completely saying it out of the blue there, that would be pretty killer.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, I like the fact that NXT. I know that when I at least started watching ECW, it's full of such unique talent that now is actually getting a justification, getting praise from a lot more people. That when I weighed up everything on there, I was like, I wanted to go to NXT more, just because of the people that were on there.
Yeah, I look at there's a lot of talented people. In a way, it's very similar to WWE's NXT. And well, I guess technically, it's not the main brand. Obviously, that's Raw, but there's so many talented people. Like I love what I'm doing with Ray and the Raging Scorpions and work with the Money Gang and everything. But I watch NXT and I see all these guys here, and I'm like, man, You just get ideas of things you can do with these guys. There's a lot of potential here, and I think what I think is crazy is there are a lot of guys who are on the NXT brand. Those are the guys who are starting to catch the eyes of people and bring in that viewership into ECW.
I think it's like just based. I think that Ryan RPJ doesn't get enough credit for that. Like, I don't know where he finds these fucking people, but every now and then he'll bring someone in to like ECW or NXT and just be like, we're going to be like Alex James. Like, I don't think we'd have heard of Alex James. I don't think he'd be as universally praised as he is if it wasn't for like Ryan. I don't know where he fucking found this kid, but he found him. I know.
Twitter. So John, when you don't have a Twitter, you should get a Twitter.
Yeah, fuck Gene. But the fact is, the way I pitched my debut to Ryan was that I used the basis of Bobby Roode's NXT debut, where he came in, tried 5 times to unsuccessfully turn on the crowd, where he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to have people in business suits in the front row. They're like, yeah, business. It's like a big guy going into what is perceived as a small pond to make it quote unquote better. I know that with the fact is that ECW has NXT even has Kronik, Brandon, and me that are, I would argue, definitely some of the biggest names currently in terms of where stories are going in a lot of companies and who people use. So that kind of attracts viewers. My main aim is that people know who I am, so that when I'm on a card, hopefully they tune in, they can see people like Matt, Walter, Aether, other people like that, so that these people that deserve some credit can get it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We again, it's a whole wheel here of all these places. There is the Ben Hopkins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the Ben Hopkins. We got the Ben Hopkins. We'll be coming up on the brand. So the Ben Hopkins brand, that's both COH and DZW, right?
Yes, yeah. It's I'd love to take credit for it, but it is an AJ Young concept. Yeah, I know, I'm gutted. I really wish I could take credit for it. So when I was joining DZW, as AJ likes to do, he likes to bring people in and make them his own, which I think is a great idea because it sets the characters different from everywhere else they're in. So it's like, I like the gimmick that you do, but I want to ramp it up a bit more. Instead of just the traditional ego thing, is that you feel like you're an actual brand. You feel like you're more than a person. So I was like, that works. Which is so. I mean, I've been blessed with how lucky I am. The fact that Ryan made a logo for it that is now plastered all over that attire. I remember watching a lot of the Rock stuff when he initially turned from Rocky Maivia to the Rock, just to see how he went about that. That speaking in third person, just the slight changes in dialogue as well. But I mean, I feel like the brand's given me a lot of success. As the quote unquote 10, 11 year veteran I am of this now, because fuck me, I'm getting old. It's given me a lot more success in a lot of places than I could expect. It's given people a lot of opportunities to work with the gimmick as well. I know AJ's doing some stuff with it. I can't reveal as of yet, which I'm very excited and very much looking forward to. And there is my favorite little small part of the gimmick, which is my face being plastered all over the COH ring, which is something I wouldn't think of, but I love it. It's ridiculous, and it works so well with the gimmick.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll come back to the Ben Hopkins brand and stuff with COH, because I have some questions about that. But we're gonna go to two places first before we go back to there. One, we're gonna go with CCWO, and that you can find on the AWF YouTube channel as well. We've seen CCWO. This picked up a little bit of viewership over the course of the past few months. You came in at Call All Stars, and which is funny because the whole thing was you're in the Call All Stars Championship main event, first Call All Stars, and then the day before you're like, my buddy Kronik needs some help. I'm gonna go help him.
How can these people boo me? I have and that was, we're against the Exterminators, who are probably one of the more violent teams, to put it lightly. But I've gone out there, I've risked my health or getting injured before arguably my biggest performance to help my best friend. But people still boo me and cheer Kronik. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and still after helping him, almost won the Call All Stars title too.
Almost, yes, yeah. Gutted I didn't win it, but I've gone on to beat my stunt double, and I have a match for that title in the near future. I haven't announced a date of when that match is going to be, but we will see. We will see down the line what will happen there. If Brandon's still champion, it will just be another chapter in this major feud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see on that. And you helped out your buddy Kronik, and that carried over when you debuted into CCWO. And, who could have predicted you guys would eventually not get along? Because he blamed you for losing to me. I beat Kronik as Sean Riley, and he's like, it's because Ben wasn't there. And then you guys have just been beating each other up, and you guys were heels, and I guess you were tweener by default.
Yes, yeah, that's how it's gone.
And then you guys fight each other. I get to do the commentary for fight night, and you guys just beat each other up. And now where we were against each other, now we're on the same team against Kronik and Travis. The whole thing's completely flipped. What do you think of your run thus far in CCWO?
It's been like a crazy few months since the Kronik turn. With a lot has happened in such a short space of time. It's pretty mad. I believe the CCWO season finale is next month. I think.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So we're pretty close to the end of this season, and it's been a really good. It's been a really good experience. I love the fact that CCWO has this smaller feel to other shows, like the fact that there's not like a regular show. They're done every now and then. It really kind of helps it stand out. The fact it's sort of the best way I can sort of, at least a comparison, is sort of like it reminds me a lot of like Progress, where you won't have a weekly show, but it's really easy to keep on track of everything that's happening. It's been a really good experience. It's been a very, very nice learning curve for me, at least, because it's the first time that this version of the Ben Hopkins character has been any way remotely face.
Right.
So it's helped me look into the subtle changes that need to be made to my dialogue to sound at least a bit more face than normal. But it's been good times. Good times.
All right. Another place that you showed up fairly recently is in CCL, a part of the Doctor's Order, and you guys have quite the assembly of talent with you and AJ and Kronik and Wolfe and all these sorts of other guys that I'm just Nitro, among more. And what's going on with CCL? How that come to be? Was that something with Doc? Was that something because of COH Super Show? How did the Doctor's Order come to be? And why do you get beat up all the time?
I don't know. Like, is it something I'm putting out there that I'm that hated? I mean, I'm a nice guy. Come on. No. I know that Doc specifically requested that he wanted me in the Doctor's Order, which I'm still kind of coming to grips with. The fact that when I was younger, I did watch the DWA, which Doc commentated on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's just weird that after like years, I've come to know Doc, and we talk on at least a semi-regular basis. And the fact that he has such universal praise for me is kind of something I don't think I've ever come like fully to grips with. That it's someone's voice that I've known growing up and listening to is like, yeah, no, you are actually quite good. It's quite it's a really interesting concept to me. That it's a really nice thing as well. I love the Doctor's Order. I don't think you'll see a stable with a better collection of talent than that. I feel like I get beaten up in the WWE sense of that I'm the smallest, and thus I'm easy to throw around. And because we're facing guys like Big Money who are bigger than me, it just makes sense that like they can't beat up Kronik, because Kronik's like the same height, and he's also not a complete coward chicken shit like me.
Right.
And but I did get the pinfall win on the Big 100. So for a guy that kind of has been in CCL for like a cup of coffee so far, that like a lot of people probably hadn't heard of before in CCL, with their fan base, to come in and get a victory on arguably their biggest show was quite nice. I feel like it puts me over good for the long run.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. and there's a couple ways you can go about this. Do you think it's, I don't know if conflicting is the right word, but difficult, because you listen to earlier in this podcast, we talk about you have this big feud with Brandon Wolfe, you have this big feud with Mason Kronik, and you guys are friends, or and in the stable in CCL. Uh, like, is that difficult in any way?
Yes and no. I feel sorry for people that will watch a lot of my work. It must be extremely confusing that I'm friends and feuding with like everyone. Everyone I feud with, I end up teaming with somewhere. It might be quite confusing. However, for me, for the character, I think it works fine. I feel like the Ben Hopkins and the Ben Hopkins brand are shown on many occasions to be just one massive hypocrite that will do anything if sort of like the price or the money's right. I feel like I said in a fuck mate, there's so many C's, CCL promo, that like I'm in the doctor's order because of my respect and admiration for Doc. Which works is just like, plus it's another payday for the Ben Hopkins. He's all about that money. So as long as everyone kind of gets along, it works fine. I think it works better that everyone knows the toxic relationship that is mine and Kronik's, where we can get along 1 minute and feud the next. I think it's really good in CCL that I feel like there's been minimal to no interaction between me and Brandon. Mm-hmm. I think that is probably the best way to go about it, so that it's like I don't even know he's in the doctor's order. Because I imagine if we'd interacted, I'd been like, "Yo, wait, what the fuck's this? Why is he here?"
Yeah, all right, well said. Now, this could get interesting, people. So we're gonna go back to COH, and we talked about AFN came to an end. You guys lost the tag team titles. You guys did the split. You and Austin had a match on a Slam, and you qualified for the Money in the Bank. And I'm just gonna say it straight up. Do you think you should have won that match?
At the time, no. In hindsight, yes. I feel like it should have been either me or Rockstone. Because I feel like there are better stories to be told with us than Stefan, who is more concerned about how people film promos than being a captivating character. But it's just me. I would rather. I feel like what I know that I'm doing in this season of COH is going to be better, more important than what happens with Stefan. Just because I'm a better character and I don't have. I don't have the shyness, or I don't want to be diplomatic about it, but as a lot of people probably know, I don't watch a lot of wrestling anymore. Like, I say that as I'm staying up at like midnight to watch TakeOver. I don't catch a lot of it because of how much I work now. I don't have the time. I watch like WWE YouTube highlights and maybe some TNA and some New Japan where I can. But the thing that hooks me in is captivating characters and gimmicks, and that's what hooks a casual fan in. No one's gonna want to watch something where someone's like, "Oh, you're filming your promo differently. Oh, that's bad." Like, what the fuck is that? Is that a gimmick? Are you trying to shoot on me? Like, come on, man.
Also, too, I know you say like, "Oh, I haven't watched a lot of wrestling lately," but I'm sure you've seen enough to know that WWE guys do cell phone style promos now.
Yeah, like one of my favorite guys currently is Mustafa Ali, whose gimmick is built on him walking around on a street, filming himself talking. Mm-hmm. I literally do the same thing in my house, and I would argue that Mustafa Ali is like one of the most over cruiserweights and is a reason why 205 Live is increasing in viewership.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that no, he needs to like stay like still somewhere and cut a really dull, monotone landscape promos? People work better working as themselves. If everyone worked the same way, stuff would be shit.
Yep.
I feel like that's a really basic concept that I honestly fail to see how people struggle to understand that.
All right, so that did get a little juicy there. And folks, don't worry, there's more to drink because we got some more coming up. But after Ultimate Glory, it was like Ben Hopkins is gone. He's leaving COH. Oh, sad day. And then the debut of the Ben Hopkins brand. We talked a little bit about like the having your face on the ring and the Bobby Roode effect to it and all this kinds of stuff. And I'll give you a chance to talk about that if you'd like as well. But specifically, what I'd like to know is because coming out of that, it was what's next for Ben. Where's Ben going to go from here? And the chance came to work with JC Wolfe. I put work in quotes. And so anyone that's talked to you on Discord or Facebook or anywhere, I'm sure knows what you think. But what have you thought of your feud with JC Wolfe?
I thought I've been great. That's literally all I can say is I thought I've been great. I feel like there's a perfect line that resonates with my feelings in JC Wolfe in one of my promos when I said that he might as well call me his dad because I am so disappointed in him. There are promos out there where I've said about these big names coming into COH and doing nothing or underperforming, and I haven't crossed hairs about it. I've been diplomatic in a sense. So I said that any work I've seen of JC Wolfe, I've been heavily disappointed in. I think his AWF run's been a massive fucking bust. And in COH, I feel like if he's done one promo, that's one more than I can remember. But I guess if you're gonna do nothing, you're facing the best person to get mimes over. I did kind of, if no shame about it, I did kind of win the COH tag titles just doing promos by myself. And I mean, once this feud's done, like, I don't know where JC Wolfe goes. The idea at the beginning was that I don't like these big names coming in. I don't like big names taking what I perceive as my spotlight. And then once he just didn't start doing any work, I remember there was one point where he asked Travis what work of mine he could recommend me watching. It's like, watch the fucking show where I'm cutting promos on you. I don't understand where he goes after this because, for lack of a better term, I feel like he is kind of buried in a sense where I've called him all this shit. I've said you aren't going to respond to this because you're too much of a coward, and he hasn't responded. Like, he's a victim of his own laziness.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, after this feud is done, again, I don't know when this is going up, but he's gonna have, if he hopes to keep moving forward and to advance in COH, he's gonna have to pick things up. For one, because the next CPV is a crossburn one, so that already is going to be a limited amount of people who are going to be able to make the card. Also, we have newer guys who are coming in. Malik Brown's now in, and Tyler Watson's trying to make a name for himself there. And you got all these guys who, again, I don't know when this will air, so can't spoil. But other guys who are coming in down the line, who I know are going to rise to the occasion. And if you're not on par with them, you're going to drop. And it's not even a matter of quality; it's a matter of there's nothing to compare. So if as far as I see it, because I've talked to the guy, he's a nice guy when I've talked to him, but it's up to him, And I don't run COH. That's ultimately up to Travis what he does with him. So
I do remember one time I put in the Discord that I loved the promo he done for the COH Battleground sarcastically. And he was like, can someone please show me the promo that Ben likes? And I was like, oh, you really have no idea that we're feuding, do you?
Oh, that was sad. Yeah. Oh, since we're talking okay, we should talk about, this guy at least has done promos, although not one about you that he promised. Yeah, one guy who personally, look, I have to watch what I say, but me and him, we won't be going to the ball game together. We have our differences, but it's not about me. He came into COH, and this if you haven't caught it already, is Smokey, and it was we'll call it a mixed bag of response. if that's being generous though. And a lot of people were either, who is this guy, or okay, but why is he in the at the end of Ultimate Glory? So he already had a lot to live up to. Comes in, he's working with Stefan Guerrero, and it ends up being that a match between you and him is advertised for Battleground, and you cut a promo, and now Scott McShannon ended up filling in for that match, and he promised, he was like, oh, he's gonna get. He gonna get this. He's promising, oh, I'm cooking up something real good, and I guess we're still waiting. So what do you think about Smokey and this promo that we're still waiting on?
Oh, what a talent! 10 years, 10-year veteran. He's only been doing it the same amount of time I have. But yeah, so I don't like Smokey, and I think that's painfully obvious. When I go out my way to cut a promo more than 3 minutes, you can tell I have a lot to say and I have a lot of venom to spew. It started because, as the Ben Hopkins Brand character does, is belittle anyone that he's in the ring with. So I made a funny comment saying, "Why am I stuck with the kid from the special bus?" referring to Smokey.
Right.
Which, there you go. I've given you a basis to retaliate. You don't even have to watch the show. There you know the basis of my character and how he perceives him. That was a perfect opportunity for Smokey to respond and retaliate in a promo. He instead goes on to, what's his name? The guy that runs VWU, Matt something. MTB, that's it. He goes on to his live thing where he's talking about the bad people in Core, and Smoke was like, "Oh, did you see what Ben called me? That goes to show that bad people will still exist in Core." And I'm like, "Mate, do you perhaps want to know who you're fucking with?" So I was, fine. I'm not the nicest guy, I understand. I'm not going to get on with everyone. I don't try to. Have you seen my blocked list? But...
Oh, I have to throw this in here too. I won't mention his name because I know he'd probably rather stay out. But there's a common friend that had to assure Smokey that Ben plays a character. He's a heel. He's going to say mean things. You should respond by, I don't know, with a promo. This is usually how call works.
I have also spoken to this same person that's told me he my name is on his lips on a regular occasion, but there's no promo cut. So I remember that I was working on a promo for JC when it happened, and I was also Travis also let me know that he was switching it for Scott to face Smokey. So I was like, I'm going to give myself some mic time. I remember coming home from work that day where I was formulating the promo in my mind as I was walking home. I was like, yep, I've got these words to say, because Smokey falls into that kind of the same gimmick that JC Wolfe, where it's this big name that I'm not a fan of that's just randomly come into the show. So when I've cut that promo, it's arguably probably the first promo I've watched back, and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this. This is gonna go over well, and it did. I believe it's my most watched promo on the COH group. I know it's my most responded to promo. I know Hoppy J drew comparisons between that and the Miz's Talking Smack promo, where it was just a release of sheer hatred and venom, which is a great comparison because that is probably one of my favourite promos of at least the last 5 years. So, I mean, I don't like Smokey, I don't like JC Wolfe, but thanks for providing me with such invaluable content that I could put myself over with.
Hey, it did wonders for you. It got a lot of buzz. And you asked, where is JC Wolfe gonna go from here after your guys' feud? I would offer the same kind of question for Smokey. You guys aren't in a feud, but for the fact that you just had this, fire promo on him just to expose them and all this kinds of stuff, and a perfect chance for him to respond. And look, he could, hypothetically, he could have cut a good promo, And if it was good, it could have been a difference maker for him. But he talked about doing one, never did. And again, not everyone who watches COH knows his text-based promos other places. So I think a lot of people who are watching are like, I wasn't sure about this Smokey guy. Now, I don't think he's worth the time. So, and look, maybe he proves me wrong, but I think the question is going to be there going forward for him based on the fact that he didn't respond, and he could have responded and could have helped himself, but I think he just digged himself into a hole. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I don't put stuff up on any pages where I'm like, oh, I'm going to cut a promo, it's going to come up soon, because things happen and you can't justify that.
Mm-hmm.
With Smokey went on there to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna respond, you're gonna get yours soon, and he's gone privately and said to people the least I know of, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cut this great promo, Ben's not gonna know what's hit him, he doesn't know who he's messing with, the generic big talk that then nothing's happened in the end. And I feel like that promo, if anything, it got me over, but it gave a perfect retaliation, because it was still a heel promo. It was still filled with vile and venom as I attacked two arguably big name babyfaces. It gave both of them a perfect opportunity to bounce back and as a babyface should do, admit their faults and then say, I'm in the wrong. I know that I haven't done anything, but build on from that as a babyface should do. I don't like being a face, but it's kind of easy. Where if you break it down to its core components, a heel's always going to believe they're right. A babyface can admit they're wrong and say that they're going to improve to it, because that's how they get over, because you relate to them, because everyone struggles in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not difficult.
Hey, I mean, maybe it's a good thing he didn't say anything, because if you listen to his thing he did on Stefan, because he called him Stephanie Guerrero, that was his big burn. So, I guess we didn't get Benny Hopkins or something like that. That would have killed your career.
I would have retired out of shame.
And, Stefan talks about poor quality. I mean, I guess he forgot to listen to those promos, which I don't blame him, but, whatever. Yeah, so now we have going forward for the Ben Hopkins brand, hopefully, brighter things and no more people not doing work. If that happens, I know specifically I'll be disappointed. But we'll end on a nice note here. And it doesn't have to be COH or any place at all. Who do you look at if you just think of one or two guys? You're like, you know what? Who you looking to lock horns with, get to work with, and hopefully won't be a mute like you've unfortunately had quite a few times in your car run.
Yeah, I just struggle to think of a few. Most of my feuds are with mutes, actually. As far as people I want to work with, like yourself, obviously. I feel like at least our AWF promo showed we have at least some good chemistry that I feel like if we worked into an actual feud would be good. John, always near the top of my list of people to work with. God bless the Velveteen Gene.
Maybe one day he'll get to tell you to shut the fuck up.
I'm waiting. I could die happy once I get that. I'm glad I'm getting to work with Walter at least a little bit for a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. I'd love to work a full feud with him. I remember this time, 2 years ago when I came on this and I struggled to think of people to feud with because there wasn't a lot of, I didn't know a lot of names. We didn't have the benefit of ECW's NXT and the whole of ECW for their talent. This time I've come on, I'm struggling to prioritize names because there are so many talented people, and I will happily work with anyone as long as they put the work in. I feel like my long-term goal is that if I do eventually turn face anywhere is to get a feud with AJ. But that because as far as I see it, AJ should be number one on CWI this year, and will be getting my vote to be number one because he is. I'd argue to find someone that is better than AJ Young. Me, but I mean, I can't put myself at the top. That'd be way too egotistical, and I'm not in character.
Well, I know I look forward to possibly those happening. I mean, you and John are having a little best of series in ECF, so little bits of something there.
Yeah.
So best of luck moving forward. Hopefully, the next time you're on the Shawn Walsh show, we'll talk about, remember those great feuds? Oh my goodness, so fantastic. Both people did things. Wow. I mean, what a concept.
Remember that time someone responded to your promo and you were shocked? Oh my goodness.
I mean, that'll be a good one.
It would.
So, thank you for being on.
That's okay. Thank you for having me again. It's nice to not be interrogated this time.
Yeah, I think this one went a little bit better.
Yeah.
And thank you, all the fans listening to this. You're awesome. Keep watching.
No, you're not. Your local sports team sucks.
He's going back into character. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. We got to wrap it up. Thank you guys. Have a good night.